All right, guys. So we are here now, and I am going to ask a few questions to Joey so we can get an insight again as to from somebody who's already in the Freedom Accelerator program and to what it is they are doing. So, welcome, Joey, and how are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Nice November day today.
I know it's beautiful out. It's
Yeah,
hard to believe we went from freezing to sunshine to
yeah,
cold again, and our weather doesn't know what to do with
yeah. This
itself.
whole year's just flown by. So
So you actually are leading the pack right now with and I don't even want to say a number because you keep correcting me. The last time we spoke, you have 120 slow flips.
yeah,
Is that still where the number is?
we're one off. Closed on 121 today.
I closed on 121 today.
121.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions just to gain insight as to your journey and your experience
Yeah.
as you went, and feel free to throw in anything that I may not be asking because I'm just going to go with some basic questions. So first I want to ask you. So before you joined and started doing this, where were you at before the Freedom Accelerator? Before you knew about slow flips, where were you at on your real estate journey, or had you done anything prior?
Not a single thing real estate before this. Starting with slow flips and a little bit of wholesaling here and there, but this is the very first thing real estate. I got into this with no experience at all.
And I think I asked you this already, but how long has it been now? I know you waited a little bit till you started buying from the time you started, but how long has it been that you've been actually doing slow flips?
Actively slow flips 59 months now.
59 months, because your first
I got
one
1 month left.
gets paid off next month. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's an easy way to remember. Okay. But and I guess we'll talk about it in a second, but you've really kicked it up in the last 12 months.
Absolutely. Like don't even know how I'm here right now. So
Because I think we did or watched a video that we did, and you had a fraction. It was only like a year
Yeah.
ago,
yeah.
a fraction of the amount of houses that you have now.
So I ended 2020 with 12 slow flips, 2021 with 20, then 2022 this last year I ended up with 40, and now it's just 11 months later we went from 40 to 121.
Wow. So far you've bought 81
Yep.
houses in a year.
And the year's not over yet.
I know. You probably end with 100 at the pace you're going.
That's my goal, but it's gonna be very tough. It's tough to get 19 more contracts in 5 weeks.
And the holidays.
Yeah,
And the holidays
I
are
don't
going to
think
throw
that's
everything
gonna
off.
maybe 90, maybe 130, but 140 is kind of pushing it.
Yeah. Well, time will
Yeah,
tell.
it's been a very good year.
Time will tell. Okay, so I have a question for you. When you first started, and if I remember correctly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't start buying slow flips right away once you learned about them. You waited a bit, and I don't remember how long you waited. So my question would be, what were your hesitations when you first started, or what finally pushed you over the hump to actually get going with it?
So it's an interesting question you asked, and I went to one of your seminars, learned about slow flips. I think it was 10 months. 10 months I waited before I did anything real estate related wise, and the main reason was I needed at the time I had money and I lost all my money, so I had to do something to start. I'd have a business again. I'd have an income, so I got into the slow flip model and doing everything real estate wise, and that's never looked back.
So it wasn't
Never
actually a
once looked back.
hesitation. It was you had something else going on, and then
And
when that went away, it
absolutely.
was
So I needed a business model, and slow flips is the perfect business model.
okay. Yeah, we actually had a conversation earlier, and I forgot who I was talking with about it. About find me something better, and maybe it was Kevin I was talking to. It was like, find me something better. Even our bad deals are averaging 20% returns, and we
Yep.
were like, find something that you can say is better than this. And I'm like, I just don't have it.
It's been 5 years now doing this. I still don't think any negative thing about slow flips. Nothing negative whatsoever. I love every single aspect of it. And that's the best part about it. It's a win for everybody involved.
So you said you're 59 months. Your first one gets paid off next month. So let's start there. Tell me about your first slow flip.
My very first one, I guess it was December of 2019, whatever that 2019 I think, or is that 2018? Whatever that math comes out to 5 years ago. So I paid 22,000 for it. It's in Newport News. It's in Newport News on 29th Street. I had one. This is pre-COVID, so back then when rents were low, they were paying eight. They paid 3,000 down, 875 a month, 89,000. They stayed for 4 years, and this house has turned over recently. It just turned over like 4 or 5 months ago, my very first one. And now new numbers, we got 5,000 down, 1,295 a month, 149,000.
Wow.
So 1,295 a month, and I got one payment of 667 left, and that's it.
And then you are pure profit,
$12.95
a month for the
Another
next
29 and a
29
half
years.
years.
Wow. All right. That is fantastic. Now, the next question, follow up on that, is how did you fund your first slow flip?
So my first one was a private lender.
Okay.
Private lender, 30,000, 5%, 5 years, 12%.
So the same
Our
plan
model,
that we
yeah.
do. Our model has always been 5 years,
Yep.
12%, 60 payments,
67 a month.
and have it fully amortized. And now you have 121 of them. Have you been using private money for all of them, or are you funding some yourself, or how is that working?
So if I had to, I don't have the exact number. If I had to say, I'd probably 100 or so were on private money, maybe like 20 or so I paid cash for, give or take, maybe a few here and there. But I think, I don't know the exact number. Maybe 90 are private lenders, maybe like 10 are sub twos, and 20 are cash. Don't know the exact number.
So I have a question for you, and we spoke about this just the other day, and I don't know if you've even put any thought into it. Where do you want to go? Do you have a number in your head that you're hoping for, either an income number or an amount of slow flips number? But have you even thought about that, or just do as much as I can while while the sun is shining?
And that's a very good question. Me and my wife talk about that all the time. I don't have the answer for it. Like I said, right now 120 is bringing in roughly like $100,000 a month, and I don't even right now I'm not even spending like $15,000 a month. So I don't even know what I'm going to do with this besides buy more properties with it in the long run. It's like it's cool to have a bigger, nicer house, cool to have like a sports car maybe down the road, but I don't know what my plan is. I love what I do, and it's all just flowing so perfectly. They're paying themselves off, and my 5-year clock is 1 month away, and that's what's most exciting. I haven't even touched any of the money yet in even the houses I pay cash for. I just put that right back into the account and then use that to buy more cash, and I haven't even touched that money at all for like personal gain or for wealth or for luxury yet. So.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and this is why we talked recently about cutting out things that there's things that can make you more money, but it gets to a point where it's like, well, if I don't need any more money, I only want to do shit that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. I don't need to add any more stress. I don't need to add anything.
Yep.
And what you're doing now is like we talked the other day. I said I think you can get to 1,000 houses because you're 30 years old. I mean, and the rate you're buying, I don't think it's out of the question for you to hit 1,000 houses.
Yeah.
And to do that math, we're talking then you're talking $1 million a month, which is astronomical. I mean, it's hard to even wrap your head around these numbers.
Overwhelming even thinking about that.
And that's if you have the energy or if you even have the desire, because it is a big undertaking. You would need staff at that point, obviously, just manage just a few people, but still, it's crazy to think about.
It's a lot to think about. Yeah.
To think about you realistically could hit those numbers if that was in your goal list, if that was in your future vision, you could hit numbers like that. So. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me to think about that, how it's very realistic that you can do that. So what mental barriers do you think you've overcome, or do you think people would overcome for having to get into debt, having private lenders? We hate debt. We're all about being debt-free, but yet to buy these houses, we have to get into debt. And so people that haven't started yet, or fearful, or I'm afraid, what if I can't rent it? What if I can't sell it? What if this or that? What would you say to somebody that has that as a stumbling block?
Mentally, I think the biggest thing me and my wife both overcame was fear that we weren't gonna be able to make our payments, fear that it wasn't gonna work, because we never knew. Like, obviously we saw your success, we saw everyone else in the group's success 5 years ago, but for then it was just I didn't believe in myself until my first one. It took a month to fill it, and in that month span, me and my wife were like, okay, well, this doesn't work. I have to pay my private lender $670. That's a lot of money just taking out of our bank account if they didn't pay it. And then so the first one went, and even though we knew it worked, even though we knew the process worked, we had that same fear of a next month for the next house, for the second, third, fourth, probably up to like number 20. We were hesitating buying more because we weren't sure how it was going to work. But now it's just, I trust the system, and I'm trying my best how to explain it. I don't know. So we were just fearful that it wasn't going to work out, that like we were going to have to pay these mortgages when it come into our rent or our own personal mortgage. But now I know it works, and I'm confident with it.
Obviously, if you're buying at that rate, you've given up on fear. I mean, fear isn't playing into an equation when you're buying 3 and 4 and 5 in a week.
Yeah. So now I know it works, and I'm very confident in the system, and I'm confident that my buyers are going to pay on time every month. And even if they don't, I'm confident that I can cover their expenses if they don't for the 2 or 3 months if needed. And one thing I did the math for. So this past week I sent out late notices. I had 115 occupied. I sent out 60 notices. But last month I sent out 60 also. And of those 60 I sent out last month, 52 of those 60 already paid. So that's 60 properties they're late, but they paid. So the fear, and that's all. It gets me more comfortable knowing that my people are paying every single month. On time or not, they're paying. So it covers my mortgage every month.
Yeah, I know people who, when people pay late, they want them out, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Yeah,
They can be
I
late.
like-
They can
I-
literally be late for
yeah.
me every month for 30 years. I'm
Yeah.
fine. They pay the late fee. They pay.
Yeah.
I have no problem with them paying late. I have other people I've spoken with that they're like, nope,
Yeah.
I want them out. They paid late 3 times, and I'm like, whoa, they're paying.
One of my
Leave me.
properties in Suffolk, they pay a 1095 a month. They paid late for 2.5 years straight, and I like it. I'd like the extra 10%. Why not?
Yeah.
And I consider them a great tenant. I consider them a great buyer. I like that. So they consistently pay every month, whether it's late. I don't care, but
Yeah.
the money comes in every month consistently.
So let's talk about the Freedom Accelerator program for a second. What results would you say you specifically got from being a member or from being a part of the group?
So I think the best part about the group, and this is the reason why I expanded so much this year, is outside of Hampton Roads. I live in this Virginia Beach area. However, I didn't know anything about other markets until I joined Freedom Accelerator. And right now, I think I have 60 houses in Hampton Roads, and 60 are all in the other half is in St. Louis. So half of my whole entire portfolio is in St. Louis, and that would have never been possible without Freedom Accelerator. Seeing everybody else buying the houses out there, being successful, and I was like, oh, let me do that too. And
That's actually a great answer, because I've
Yeah.
asked this a couple times and had different answers with what it did for their confidence or for getting over fear. But I hadn't thought about what you just said. And it's interesting because, like, I personally, and you don't either, I don't own any in Indiana, but people in Freedom Accelerator have been
Yeah.
posting their houses and their successes. I bought this for 17 grand, and they put a
Yeah.
picture of it in, and then they sold it for 69, and how much they're getting
Yeah.
a month. And I'm like, look at this house for 17 grand.
Yeah,
And I get so
exactly.
excited about it that I'm thinking now about looking at Indiana,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't understand, how is this house only $17,000?
And it's kind of literally exactly what you just said. What I said. I'm only in the St. Louis market, but I just wholesaled 2 houses in Decatur, Illinois, only because I'm seeing Sabrina and other people in the group had such success there. I'm like, hey, it works. Let's do it. So
Yeah.
they're filling still within 2 to 3 weeks. So seeing their success makes me confident in selling these houses out there for other investors and just possibly buying one for myself. I don't know when I'll be buying other markets. It might come soon. It might
Or
not.
never. If you know
Yeah.
what, and that's a great point you brought up, because I know people somebody I just recently spoke to was looking in like 5 different markets, and I'm like, just one is
Choose
fine.
one.
If you
Yeah.
have one, and there's not like you can't find any more houses there, as long as it's still abundant, you don't need to be in 5 different states.
Yeah.
Because my opinion, and I could be wrong, is the value there is you can have infrastructure like you do. You have people to take pictures, you have people
Yeah.
put on lock boxes, people to clean out. And if you're in 5 different states, well, now you need 5 different sets of infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, if now again, like in the market here, well, if it's hard to find them, which is why we look in other markets.
Yeah.
So I can see where Hampton Roads, we still buy here, but it's harder to find them. So I can see stepping out of that market. But in the other markets where they're real abundant, I don't know why we need to look into another one.
And I agree absolutely. I'm still finding unlimited supply of houses in St. Louis and St. Louis, Missouri. Probably like 3 to 5 contracts a week. I might buy 2 and wholesale 3, or vice versa, buy 3, wholesale 2. But there's an unlimited supply. But it just comes down to, well, I see this other house here. I don't want to throw it away and let someone else get it. So I'll get it also. So, and that's really what it comes down to.
That's priceless.
It's exactly what you're saying. I see deals I can't pass up, and then I post a few times. I posted in school like, "Hey, there's this new market." I think I was actually I forgot his name. I wholesaled one in some other city in Illinois recently, Frankfort, Illinois, and I got a $2,000 assignment fee on it. I saw it in a Facebook group for $13,000. I'm like, "Hey, does anybody want it for $15,000?" And we closed a few weeks ago. So
And so that's another thing we didn't bring up. So you also wholesale.
a lot.
And
Yep.
you've been crushing it wholesaling. I mean, some of the numbers we've talked about are just staggering, because you're not
Yeah.
doing big fees. Like I've always wholesaled, and I'll get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 assignment fees.
Yeah.
You've been doing fees that are $12,000 and $5,000, but your numbers for the month are staggering. So
Absolutely.
do you know what your best month is wholesaling so far?
I think it was 2 months ago. I want to say it was August. I think it came out to like 47,000 in assignments.
47,000 in
was-
assignments while you bought 20 more
Yeah,
houses of your own or
That was
whatever.
9 separate wholesale deals.
9 separate
And every
wholesalers.
single one of those 9 wholesale deals were all slow flips, obviously. I only wholesale slow flips. They were all slow flips, all in St. Louis and St. Louis areas.
And the best part about it, and this is what the absolute best part is, most people that do wholesaling know it's the same thing we do here is we do marketing, we go on appointments, we make
Yeah.
offers. You're not doing any of that. You're
Not a
buying
single
them
thing.
from wholesalers or
Yeah.
from listed properties or from Facebook groups. That you're
Absolutely.
buying houses that are available. They're not They're not ones that you had to go and talk to a seller and talk them into a price, or you're just buying ones that are available. But because, and this is what we teach people, because you can identify a deal, because you've looked, and I always tell people, look at 100 houses before you buy one. You've looked at 10,000 now. So you can look at it in 2 seconds and know it's a deal, lock it up, and then sell it to someone else.
Exactly what you just said there. There was I think you're the one that said it. Like, so you have like 1,000 emails come through your email every day about deals and trash. Same thing with my email. So one came through yesterday. It was in Alton, Illinois. The wholesaler was asking $17,000. It was a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. It looked beautiful. And within, I responded instantly, like, I'll take it. I got the contract already. And I already have a buy lined up for $30,000.
Yeah.
And it's just, she sent me the purchase agreement this morning. I think she got it for 15, so I'm making more than the wholesaler.
She's gonna make $2,000. You're gonna make $13,000. And she went on an appointment. She did everything. And what you do, sold $13,000.
Typed up a DocuSign, sent it to the title company, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love that. So your best month was 47. Do you have an idea? And you probably don't, for the last 12 months, or what you might have done wholesaling, forgetting that you bought 100 properties, what you might have done wholesaling?
That's a very good question, and I have a list in my phone. Ballpark wise, maybe like 220 to 250, somewhere around 250,000. It's been a lot of wholesale deals, and they're still. It has to be around 200 to 250.
That's insane. Wow, you bought this many houses to keep. It's
and at the same time, the wholesale one's kind of just like when I get a $20,000 check, I just throw it right back into more slow flip. So that's what's funding my deals. A lot of them. These wholesale deals are what's helping me buy more. However, but yeah, it's been absolutely crushing it.
Fantastic. So this is another question for you then. So who would you recommend to join the Freedom Accelerator program or do slow flips in general? What kind of person, who would you recommend to do that?
Every single person I talk to has any involvement in real estate or even just wants to get into real estate, I try to get them into it. It's just anyone can join. It's so easy. It's so simple. And the best thing about it is you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it straight from right here where we're sitting right here. Like I said, I go to St. Louis every now and then, every 2 months, because I enjoy seeing the houses I buy. But I haven't been there in 3 months. I'm thinking, like, do I need to go back? Like, I really don't need to go back. I enjoyed going during baseball season, going to see a Cardinals game, but now I'm like, well, my guy's taking good photos for me. He's taking videos. He does lock boxes. Everything I need to be done, I can do it from home. So there's no reason for me to go out there. Anyone can do it. Absolutely anybody.
And what's crazy is, so you're here in Virginia buying in St. Louis and saying it's completely remotely. I think what we spoke about, we have a guy that we just recently interviewed who's in Israel and buying in Ohio. And I'm like, and I liked it because of that fact. And I'm like, what difference does it make if you're buying him in Newport News, right? 30 minutes from here. If you never go, what's the difference if it's there or Midwest or in another country? It's the same exact process if you're never going to see the house anyway.
Absolutely. And in the beginning, it's like, I think everyone has that same mindset. In the beginning, your first like 20 or 30 houses, you want to see them. Like, you want to go in person, see them. And now it's like, I don't really care anymore. I just buy them, and it's like, okay, I see the photos, and that's it. I don't even drive by anymore.
They're just numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just a check coming in every month, and that's all it is.
And that's one of the things. So that's a person who doesn't like slow flips. I'll tell you exactly who it is. The vision I have in my head is the person who loves their houses, who wants to, I always joke and say they want to hug their house and pick out the lights and paint the door red.
Yeah.
That person will hate slow flips because they're no longer their lovable item. They're just a piece of paper. Yeah. For us, or at least for me, and you're the same way, is they're just pieces of paper. We did a contract to buy, we did a contract to sell, and now we collect a check every month. Yep. I have no love on the house itself. I love the deal. Yep, I don't love the house.
There's not a single house I'm like attached to at all. That's how it's never going to happen. So
yeah, absolutely.
Strictly an investment.
Lastly, last question for you. What final advice would you want to give to somebody who's either thinking about doing slow flips or thinking about joining Freedom Accelerator or thinking about moving forward with real estate in general? What advice would you want to give somebody?
So I say this all the time to everyone: start right now, start today. If I waited almost a whole year before I got started, and if I didn't wait that year, I would be 12 months into having 20 houses paid off, $15,000 a month cash coming in. Get started today. Don't wait. Absolutely do not wait. Like, start looking at, I say this all the time, start looking on Facebook right now, start looking on Craigslist, start looking on Zillow, put every alert on possibly you can find on Zillow, on Redfin, find these slow flips. They're easily accessible, so available. You don't want to wait. You don't want to hesitate. Like, you want to get it today. Start that 5-year clock right now, because once you do, it's life, absolutely life-changing.
5 years is nothing. And you're just 30 years old.
I know.
30 years old. You're going to have 1,000 houses by the time you're 50. I love it. All right. Well, thank
Excited.
you, Joey. Appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.